The following is a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. The date is April 14th, 2021, and the subject is the emotional aspect of the heart chakra in the sign of Aries. Momentum. I am. Where do you put the strength of your words? Me. Huh? In what sense? I am. Out. When your energy is released, when you let go of what you had stuck inside, where do you put that force? Me. I don't know. I think that when I say what I say, it's just said. I am. Oh no. What are you thinking when you say it? Me. In the emotion. I am. What do you see when you say it? Me. I see the people I tell it to. I am. So you know where you direct that energy. Me. I guess so. I mean, where else? How do you channel information without directing it to any specific site? I am. No. The information always goes to a specific place, but you have to educate the mind so that it does so in the right direction. Remember, the emotions that emerge from you, that you release, are only yours. They live in you, and they return to you. The reason why you observe the images of the people involved in that information is because your brain has put together information packages regarding that emotion, in which it has registered similar faces and situations. Me. In other words, as if the brain organized everything in the shelves from A to Z, and then in A, it will put everything that begins with A, like love, as in amor, and abandono in Spanish, or in English in L for love and loneliness. I am, reason for which the data will be crossed by preconceived interpretations and will understand the words love and abandonment as the same package. The same thing happens when an emotion arises, which will come in the same data package as the person with whom you felt that emotion. Me. That explains the attachments then. They are reactions of an organization of brain data. Every time something similar happens, the same image comes out again. I am. But all the images you see are nothing more than the masks in the Greek amphitheater of your brain. Me. Whose masks? I am. Of your ego. From yourself. Me. In other words, if someone has betrayed me or hurt me, the image of betrayal and damage will be related to that person, but in reality it is a mask of myself. But what if I did nothing to receive the damage or be a victim of betrayal? I am. You just said what you did. Me. What? I am. Receive and be a victim. You see it? Behind every character hides the scriptwriter of your life, the ego, the one who wonders, why me? What did I do? The one who positions himself in a role immediately and is always usually the victim, the one he receives. Well, the brain was designed for that, to receive data from the outside world, to defend it from the aggression of that world, from being its victim. And for this reason, at the slightest discharge, he responds with impetus. Me. Defending. I am. And it searches the ordered codes of its neurons for everything related to what it is trying to express. The ego has contained under pressure what lives in tension inside. Seeking to express himself, he will find in the internal files all the data related to what put him under stress and pressure. And when expressing himself, he will use that data as a focus of attention. Interpret. This thing that hurts me came from this place, object, or subject, and if I take it out, it must return to it. Me. And isn't it? I am. Of course not. Well, what happens to you did not come from outside. What happens to you only happens to you. It is your own being reacting to an environment. You can react with a smile or a cry. You can react with sorrow, with anger, or with pain. You can react with laughter or rage, with acceptance or denial. What happens is not the reality that you experience. What happens is what you feel about it. That is what is recorded inside you. The interpretation of your being in the face of a specific circumstance. Me. So, what is the point of what you're telling me? I am. That the way you release, will be done in relation to what beats inside you, in your heart, in the data that flows within you. And that if you do not recognize this data, it is very sure that lose energy. Me. You talk about impulse control. I am. I'm talking about bringing awareness to the impulse, to turn it into impetus. Me. What's the difference? I am. The impulse happens from the unconscious, or especially from the subconscious. That is, you have no control over what is driven. Remember that impulse comes from in, meaning within, and pulsus, the participle of pelere, which means to push. An impulse, then, is something that is projected from within due to an external reaction. A pulse, a push from the external world, produces a reaction from the internal world in response, called an impulse. For example, the pulse of the heart drives blood through the veins and arteries. Me. And the impetus? I am. It comes from the words in, meaning inside, and petus, being the participle of the verb petere, meaning search, ask, or address. Impetus, then, is to start a search from the inside with all the internal strength. It is, in a certain way, a search for the interior, to which we can attribute the conscious aspect. Me. Act with impetus. Many times when I hear this word, it seems to be more related to the strength with which someone positions themselves before a conflict or before a mission. And contrary to what you describe, the definition of someone impetuous is who acts in a thoughtless or hasty manner without assessing the damages. I am. There are two ways of looking at this momentum, in peace and in war. The military acted with impetus for the fight, a necessary attribute to win in an erratic and chaotic space. Those who do not act by reaction do not win. Beyond the strategy, at certain times, it all comes down to the immediate decision. The person who lives her life as a struggle, a war to gain space, to win or surpass others, will use the momentum as a destructive tool, thoughtlessly, like a soldier following orders without question. But it is not what the impetus really intended to manifest. When you focus on yourself and stop fighting, the momentum is the key to go out, to face life with a new air, character, intention. Awaken the vital force necessary to resurface, express. Me. And that's when I think about external factors? I am. And that's when the impetus, instead of searching, continues to be fighting. It remains synonymous with momentum. By definition, impetus refers to an accelerated, almost violent movement of someone or something. For this reason, after thousands of years, this concept is related not only to the negative characteristics of the impulse, but also to the strength, vigor, value of someone proven on the battlefield or life. Poner el pecho, translating as put the chest. Me. Never better said. The heart, the chest. I am. And here I wanted to come with this. To the heart. Your brain is dedicated to creating enemies, which you seek to face with impetus to feel strong. However, the only enemy behind each mask is in your subconscious. Me. I am. That's right. Me. So? I am. You will have to do something that you have always been taught not to do, and that the Aries energy refuses to face. Me. What? I am. Face the mirror, stare at you, and recognize all your flaws, physical, emotional, and mental. Me. Wow, that's almost counterproductive. I am. It's unnatural, I know. Me. You're practically telling me to fight myself. Isn't that the opposite of what you should be teaching me? I am. Do you remember that time after years you met a friend and your first frivolous expression was to her, "How fat are you? And what happened to you?" Me. Yes. Now that I think about it, I recognize myself as a horrible person for having done that without thinking. I am. You acted impetuously from unconsciousness, but you triggered something, right? Me. Years later, he confessed to me that after what I told him, he had to go to the psychologist and he cried for months. But he also told me that it was the phrase he needed to realize it. All the others only said nice, beautiful, magical things to her, hiding from her that she had a problem, which was not being fat, but accumulating her problems, not expressing them, not saying them. And she kept it all to herself. She swallowed everything up, for feeling responsible for others instead of herself. So she began to let go, to express, and that also changed her body. Still, when I think about what I said, I am. It was an attitude typical of this Aries that costs you so much. It hurts, but many times the impetuous is what makes us really change. Fairy tales, magic, angels, and saviors don't usually change the world, but a good bucket of cold water of reality does. Looking at oneself, unmasking the ego, is recognizing that it has been disguising itself as enemies, battles, victimizers. And because? Out of fear of dying, of losing. When the world closes and you can't express your truths, you can't tell those people what you feel like telling them, it's because those things are what you should tell yourself in the mirror, yelling at yourself, crying, breaking that barrier of self-help or self-complacency, a placebo that only leads you to conformism. Phrases like, everything is fine, you are beautiful, you are worth like the whole universe. They don't really help the ego. The only way to know if you are in your real center is when you manage to tell yourself all the truths, when you impetuously search within yourself, direct the battle to your own being, freeing yourself from the actors and actresses of your internal world, from your ideas and preconceptions, and let all emotions and pains surface. Me. That's almost self-destructive. I am. Oh yeah, it is. Shiva. To create something new, you must destroy the old. The problem is that you consider destruction as something negative, when it is thanks to destruction that you exist. Thanks to the end of the dinosaurs, thanks to the mass extinctions of the last 3 million years, thanks to the conflicts and wars of the last 12,000 years, thanks to the migrations and colonialism of the last 500 years, and it is thanks to the last great world wars that you can be here, speaking freely. Life goes on, evolution continues. Face it with impetus. Stick out your chest, look in the mirror, say everything you hide to feel good. Say everything you haven't done, in the things you blame yourself. Look at the ugly parts of yourself and ask yourself why you haven't taken care of yourself. Look inside your soul and ask yourself why you keep hiding your truths, why you keep hurting yourself and hurting others. Look at your mind and ask yourself why you need to criticize others to feel someone or better. Think carefully that every time you try to defend yourself by saying nice things about yourself, you do nothing more than cover yourself with colored mirrors. Me. Where is the self-assessment after this? I am. Are we in Taurus? Me. No, in Aries. I am. Then don't complain. Do not look for the beauty that lives in you, because you will not find it if you do not first see the garbage that covers it. You are full of garbage. To really awaken the value of the ego of Aries, the one that initiates life and the force of being, you must dare to uncover it from its own defenses and get him out of his egomaniacal misery. This is the only way you have today to discover what you are, to cleanse yourself. And you can only do it by yourself. When someone else tells you, it's useless. Perhaps it is an impulse to change, but it will not be given from one's own awareness. In order to make the true change towards the being, you must find the strength to carry out that battle with yourself and your disguises. Criticize yourself to reach the crisis, and remember that criticizing and crisis come from krinein, which means discern. So you know what really belongs to you and what you do, what is not. Get out of your illuminated fairy tale for a moment and face the very shadows that have decorated your non-existent mental paradise. Me, oof. I am. So the next time you have to let go and act with impetus again, you will do it from the coherence, pulsating from the real search, without blaming anyone else for what only your brain has interpreted. Me. How to set limits or teach others between what is good and what is bad, if in the end everything is an interpreted projection of my mind? Where is it discerned if I do it from the ego satisfying myself, or if I do it from the being? I am. Once you do the homework with yourself, by putting yourself in your place, you remember that the external world is part of you, and that setting limits and teaching others is part of recognizing your own limits. Do not be afraid to set limits and say yes or no to others, but always remember to look within yourself first. Always direct the question to yourself. Ask for what is missing within you. And that is the first movement you must make in situations that the world faces you. That is the true meaning of momentum. Me. The impulse to direct the battle towards myself, to find my weak points, and thus be able to identify and work on them. I am. Observe yourself and impetuously face yourself. Unmask your ego, and when it finds itself unprotected, freed from all its armor, recognized and naked before consciousness, only then extend your hands towards it and embrace it as you have never embraced anyone. Kiss him with the greatest love and affection that you can give him. Me, giving him love. I am. Only then will you be truly delivering love from your wisdom. Me, may the crisis of my ego be the great opportunity for my being. I am. So be it. Ready for the first hit? Me, ready to beat.